The short version is I'm just an incredibly curious human being. So I think like journalism, I always say, I feel is like an extension of my natural kind of curiosities and skills or like things I do. So which is like love talking to random strangers, love like, getting into situations and understanding what's going on and asking questions. And so all of that I think is like really like what my job has been about. And it's a huge privilege to sort of be able to do that for a job, which is learn and like bear witness and get into people's like, lives and just have this very unique lens and window into all sorts of stories and there's no routine and there's just plenty to learn and plenty to impart all the time, and it's quite the journey on a personal level, and I think also professionally it can be very rewarding and satisfying. I'm Egyptian. I grew up in Egypt. I don't think I ever had this dream I'm going to be a journalist, but then when I think back, I think one of the very first things I did with like my best friend in middle school was try to start like a magazine. It never launched, but but I think maybe there was something there. And one of the first moments where I recognized my interest was in college. I was at Georgetown and there was a panel and there was someone from the AP, someone from Al Jazeera Arabic, someone in DC, their bureau in DC, and someone from AFP maybe. And anyway, so I listened to their talk and I was really impressed by at the time he was the bureau chief of Al Jazeera. And so I went up to him after the conversation ended and I was like, can I get your email? Can I, whatever. And then I emailed them and I asked if I can like intern and I didn't hear back. So I wrote a second email and I said like, what the fuck? But like I was like, hey, can you at least like respond? I'm really interested in this. And like, I kind of like, whatever. So I got a response and they're like, come in, So anyway, so I went in and that was one of my first internships. It was 2003, it was the Iraq war. It was a very like interesting and tragic and exciting time to be in a newsroom. And my role was anything and everything, which is like translate headlines or like take guests into the studio or just make people comfortable or whatever it was. But it was a very exciting moment to be in a newsroom in the company of other journalists. And from that moment on, I knew that this is sort of the energy that I wanted to experience. And I kind of went on from there. I went back to Egypt and I worked briefly in BBC Radio, and then I went to the New York Times. It was like a very rare opening. It was an opening for a news assistant in the Cairo bureau for the New York Times, and that's how I started at the Times. That was like in a long time ago, like 18 years ago. Anyway, and I sort of never left except to come here to NYU and study with Marsh Harak in the news and documentary program. And at the time, I think a lot of the papers in the industry were making this huge and important transition to becoming more digital, and that basically opened up the space for more multimedia work. And really, and in so many ways, it was like such a disruptive thing that you quickly had to adjust what kind of stories you tell and how you tell them, and sort of understanding what your audience now looks like. And so I studied documentary and then went back into the Times, and I did various, like I think I kind of did different things. I've written stories, I've done like short documentaries, I've worked on breaking news and more investigative stuff, and my last role was as an international correspondent based in the Middle East in Cairo. And I actually resigned a year ago, and I'm working on just a longer project.